everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching the video today. My name is Nikita and I am the product manager for Tax 990. Tax 990 is an e-file provider for the 990 series forms. We are authorized by the IRS. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about the 990 series filing deadline. We get so many calls and questions about when the deadline is based on tax year and things like that, and it can be very confusing for nonprofit organizations to determine when their 990 series form is due. So we're just going to dive into that a little bit today. As you probably already know, the 990 series return is due annually, which means you have to file it once a year, and the due date for those returns is really weird. So it's 5 months after your tax year ends. It's on the 15th day. So if your tax year runs January 1st through December 31st, then your deadline would be May 15th, because it's going to be 5 months after December 31st ends, and it's always on the 15th day of the month unless there's a holiday or a weekend. So if the 15th lands on a Saturday, then the deadline will be that Monday. So like I said, it's based off your tax year, and every organization has a different tax year. If it's a calendar year, like I said, running from January through December, your deadline's May 15th. If you are on a fiscal tax year and your tax year runs from, say, July 1st to June 30th, your deadline would be November 15th. Those are our two busiest tax seasons. However, it could be any time frame. If your tax year ends in April, then your deadline would be September 15th. So again, it's all based on your organization's tax year. How do you know what your tax year is? You can look at your IRS determination letter for a reference. You can look at a previous tax return that was filed with the IRS, or you can contact the IRS directly. If you know your tax year but you're not sure how to calculate your deadline, please give us a call. We're happy to help you determine that information. Tax 990 obviously has a deadline every month because different organizations have to file for different tax years. So we have a pretty good knowledge of when those deadlines would be and what tax year they would associate with. So please call us if you do have questions on that. So let's say that your deadline is May 15th and you have a calendar tax year running from January through December. What happens if May 15th comes around and you are not prepared to file your forms, which happens? You can file the 8868, which is the extension to file. You have to file the 8868 on or before your original deadline. That means if you have a deadline May 15th, and you don't have time to file your 990 form, then you would file the 8868 by the end of the day on May 15th. If you wait until the next day, then the IRS won't accept your extension form. The 8868 extension gives you a 6-month deadline extension. So, and I know this is a lot of information, some weird dates, but like I said, please call us if you have questions. If your deadline is May 15th and you file the 8868 extension, now your new deadline would be November 15th. The deadline is applicable towards every form except the 990N. So if you are a 990N filer, you don't have an option to file an extension, and you do have to file the 990 form by your original deadline. If you are a 990EZ, 990T, 990PF, or 990 filer, you can file an extension if necessary and gain that 6-month extension. You only can file one extension per tax year though. So if you file an extension in May and your new deadline is November, you cannot file another extension in November. You would have to file the 990 series form by November 15th. Again, the IRS does require the forms be filed electronically, so you have to use an e-file provider to complete and transmit those forms to the IRS, such as Tax 990. And again, we are happy to help you figure out your deadline, get your form started, get your extension started, whatever it is you might need to stay compliant with the IRS and meet those annual filing requirements. We will show a clip at the end of this video with kind of a guide on your tax year and what your deadline would be, just as a reference, so that if you do have a fiscal tax year that doesn't run like a typical July through June, or you don't work on a calendar tax year, January through December, if you have some different dates, we'll provide kind of a guide to give you an idea when your deadline would be. If you have questions, like I said, give us a call. Next week, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the Schedule A for the 990 and 990EZ form, and kind of a guide on how to complete that and what those things mean. So please join us next week for a follow-up on that. If you have other topics that you would like us to discuss, please send an email add it to the YouTube video here, comment, things like that. We're happy to look at that and see what kind of additional information we can provide to help you guys complete your annual forms. Thanks again for joining us today. Please follow our YouTube channel, follow us on our socials, keep up to date on all the great information we try to provide, and we will see you next week.